Are you struggling to make your first 100K or next? Are you pretending you're successful but barely getting by? Are you tired of comparing yourself to millionaires and billionaires who make it look so easy? Welcome to First 100K, the #1 entrepreneur voice in America. I talk about the important things that no one else is talking about, like how to make your first $100,000, because I believe this is where 90% of entrepreneurs get stuck. And I tackle the mental game of entrepreneurship that we all secretly struggle with but won't admit. My guests are successful entrepreneurs who share their mistakes, their #1 fears, their daily habits, and their superpowers that push them over the 100K mark. I'm your host, your coach, your friend, Joseph Warren. I'm also a 10-time failed entrepreneur and the owner of 2 co-working spaces here in Tampa, Florida. This show was created for you, the entrepreneur who's pushing to break through the elusive 100K milestone. Wherever you are in your business, you're just 100K away. Today, my featured guest is Dr. Jackie Noelke, and you can find her at gratefulads.com. Gratefulads.com. Kind of like the Grateful Dead, if you remember that from the 80s bands, you know, I'm a fan. So Dr. Jackie Noelke helps entrepreneurs and naturopathic doctors start, grow, and scale their online courses, services, and memberships so they can have the freedom they crave. That's what we all want, Startup Nation. We want freedom. So Dr. Jackie, she's a digital marketing strategist who became an entrepreneur as a way out from suffering agoraphobia. Entrepreneurship helped her overcome anxiety almost completely. I'm looking forward to diving into that a little bit because I know, Startup Nation, many of you wrestle with anxiety and you don't know where to put it, to take it, to get rid of it. You don't know how. You just think it's part of life and you just need to cope with it and learn to manage it. I am a personal fan of not just talking about your problems and learning to cope with them, but actually getting rid of your problems. That's what I do in my coaching practice. So Dr. Jackie, welcome to your first 100K Top 100 podcast on iTunes in entrepreneurship. Go ahead and fill in some of the gaps in that intro really quickly, would you?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. This is right up my alley, talking to people who are trying to reach their first 100K. I totally get it. I've been in entrepreneurship for almost 7 years now, and I was not an overnight success by any means. Again, like as you mentioned, I got into it because I was suffering from agoraphobia, which a lot of people think is when you won't leave your house. That's not exactly what mine was. It was where I was always looking for exits, super high anxiety, almost to the point of panic attacks, constantly, all day, that kind of thing. I was a teacher at the time, and I quit my teaching job because my anxiety had gotten so bad to where I couldn't go to work. So I started my first business at that point, which was in the personal development space, as a way for me to kind of go on my journey and take people with me on this personal development journey. And it was through that and entrepreneurship that I was able to heal. I mean, it was not an overnight thing by any means. I don't want to, make or have people think that you could just snap your fingers and it goes away. It was a lot of work and I still do the work. But through entrepreneurship, I was able to heal, and it took me on this journey of now owning 3 different businesses and love it. But that's how I got here.
That's so cool. Awesome. You just brought something to light for me personally. I used to have that fear around public speaking, and I would look for exits. How do I get out of here? I don't want to talk. Oh my gosh. Especially in networking groups, when they went around and everybody pop up and do your introduction, I literally was looking for an exit and I didn't know it had a name. That is so fascinating.
Yeah. And for me, it was just anywhere. Literally, even like if I was at the movies, if I was in a car, if I was, in teaching in my classroom, I was constantly in such a state of fear and panic that I was just trying to get out. So there was never really a place of just being comfortable. Like I was always in this heightened state, which, as you can imagine, was really detrimental to my productivity, to being able to just enjoy life, like do things with my friends, my husband, all those kind of things. So something drastic needed to happen. And I think it was kind of hitting that rock bottom that transformed me, because that made me, really reach out and say, okay, I'm gonna have to do things that I haven't done before. Because before I had never really gotten into meditation. I didn't journal. I didn't have a gratitude practice. All these things I have now that definitely helped me on my day to day, just, feel great. And I didn't have that stuff before, but it took a while and I got a therapist and all these things. But definitely, if anyone out there is struggling with, anxiety, know that there is help out there. Reach out and yeah, just start diving in and working on it.
That's so cool. So share something personal about you
Mhm.
right now that very few people in your business life actually know.
Yeah. So when I was in high school, so now I have a master's degree, a doctorate degree, all these things, right? And it sounds all wonderful and great or whatever. But when I was in high school, I was actually always thought of myself as kind of the dumb one. And my brother was very, very good at math, very good at school basically, and I just wasn't focused because I always felt like I was a dumb one. And my senior year, our physics teacher, me and my best friend sat next to each other, and he would actually make fun of us every day. He would give the honors homework, and he would then ask us if we got that as a joke. And so he was making fun of our intelligence basically in front of the whole class every single day. So I never felt really yeah, like the smart one, like I could do big things, like any of that. Like I didn't think that in high school, didn't even think that really in undergrad, didn't apply myself, that kind of thing. And it wasn't until I became a teacher and then decided to get my master's that I really found, I fell in love with school. And that changed my entire life. It changed the way I thought about myself. It changed my confidence and all of that. So I don't tell that story a lot, but yeah, it was pretty interesting to come from, not really having very high goals of achievement to, getting a doctorate degree and owning 3 businesses. So I think that if, some people out there might be doubting themselves, don't listen to the naysayers, keep going.
Thank you for saying that, Jackie. I think it's so valuable what we allow. It's so valuable and so important that we guard what we allow to be put into our identity. Really, what I mean by that is to what we allow others to speak into our identity. You're not good enough. You're not intelligent. You're stupid. You're never going to amount to anything. And many times, as parents, we're doing this to our kids because our parents did it to us, and we're not realizing the long-term effect.
Mhm.
So I am a huge fan of guarding that, and don't be Startup Nation. Don't let anyone speak lies into you, into your identity. Don't allow it. Guard that. That is the one thing you must protect because it will determine your whole life, the lies you believe or the truth you believe. Would you add anything to that, Jackie?
Yeah, I mean, I love that because that is true. Like I took what other people would think about me and make it reality, right? When it should have been the opposite. If I would have just, had belief in myself, I wouldn't have been in that pattern. And it took years, literally years, to let that go. So I think if you're empowered to know, and now I just brush it off. Anything that anyone's going to say about me, I've learned to really let go of the fear of judgment, which has been a huge process for me. Not easy. I still work on it, but really committing to letting that fear of judgment go, I think is huge for entrepreneurs because that holds entrepreneurs back. I see it all the time, all the time.
I agree. I mean, if you're going to go out there and do something big and different, you're going to be judged because people are not going to get it at first. They're just not until you do it and then show them what you've done. Then they go, oh, I get it. And here's my credit card. Like it's really a cool experience,
Yeah.
right? All right, awesome,
Well, and
Jackie.
even
Let's go into the business side of your story. Okay, thank you for sharing the personal because I always like to
Mhm.
humanize entrepreneurship. Sometimes we think it's all business and it's not relationships, but it is all relationships, starting with ourselves, right? And we really want to get
Love that.
clear about that. So thank you for just honoring us with your transparency. Um, and allowing us to see you don't have it all figured out yourself, right? You're a work in progress, as they say. So let's get into what
Mhm.
you are an expert in. And you help, right, entrepreneurs that are listening right now start, grow, and scale online courses, services, memberships, and you do it through ads, advertising. And you built an entire
Yes.
advertising agency around this called Grateful Ads. I would like you to give us your top 3 tips or strategies that Startup Nation can write down right now and execute, implement into their business this week to get real results. It doesn't have to be massive results, but enough to really just move the needle on their revenue.
Mhm.
Because many people, as we know right now in pandemic times, they're barely scraping by. And just moving the needle a little, bringing in just a little more income can mean a huge difference for their family, for their children. So what are your top 3 tips and strategies on a shoestring budget that Startup Nation can do right now in their business, whether they're a coach or a brick and mortar? What do you got for them?
Yeah, great question. So the first thing is I highly suggest anyone when they're starting with ads, if you have a limited budget, that's totally fine. Start with video view ads. So you're going to want to run video view ads where you're giving away really good content. So you're teaching something through video on your ads. You're getting people into your ecosystem, as we like to say, or your world, because you're showing up, you're teaching them something. They're starting to recognize your face. And what we actually like to do is run a series of 3 different ads where the first ad, if someone has seen 25% of it, if they've watched 25% of it, they get the second ad. If they've watched 25% of the second ad, they get the third ad. And you can do all this for about $5 to $10 a day. So it's super low budget for as far as advertising is concerned. But what you're doing is you're starting to become omnipresent to your audience, and people are seeing you. You're starting to look like a really big deal because we're able to target those people based on how much they've watched your ad. So you can set that up $5, $10 a day. Great way to build an audience. You also can, this is a video view ad, so you won't necessarily have a button that's taking them to your website, but you can always say, drop a line and we'll send you a PDF or something like that. And then you can message them to the landing page and have them and do like paying for lead, which is, yeah. Awesome. So, and then the second thing I would say is, of course, make sure that you have your pixel on your website. So this is kind of, basic, but a lot of times people don't have their pixel on their website. Even if you are not running ads, you want to have that so you can track. Now, there have been updates with the iOS update. I don't know if you guys have heard of this, but it has changed the way advertising works. But at the same time, you're still going to be able to track a big portion of your traffic. And this is the easiest, cheapest way to start growing what I call a secret list, meaning you don't actually have their name and email, but you're able to retarget them. So even if you don't want to run ads right now to be growing that list, you can target up to the past 180 days. You're able to grow that secret list. And the third
So
thing
just
is
to
when you're,
let me jump
yeah,
in there. Let me
yeah,
pause you there for a second. So first off, I want to back up a little bit because I'm a guess there's 1 or 2 people in my audience that don't know what a pixel is. So that was
right.
like you speaking a different language to them, right? So
Gotcha. Mhm.
explain what a pixel is, why it's important, and then continue with what your thought process was there.
Cool. Thank you. So a pixel is just a little bit of code that you put on your website that Facebook creates. And so that code, when you land on the website, it sends back information to Facebook. So if you have that on your website, it's sending the information of your website visitors back to Facebook. So they have that data. So you're able to then retarget those people in ads in the future. And retargeting ads are super cheap. So that's the thing. Like, you can run retargeting ad for $1 a day, even depending on how much website traffic you're getting. But for, let's just say you have, a couple hundred visitors a day or less, run it for $1 a day to retarget people who have come to your website. What are those ads like? Basically, they're just reminding people, hey, we're here. We know you're interested. Come back. So anytime, and I'm sure most of the people listening, you've all experienced this, right? You've gone to a website and all of a sudden you're seeing their ads in your newsfeed. Well, those are retargeting ads. They're retargeting you based on that pixel data, that code that was put on your website. So that's how that works. And it's amazing because it gets super high conversions because people are already interested in what you have. You're just reminding them and giving them that little push to take the action.
So how did tell me more about the secret list. I'm not sure I got that part.
Yeah, so I call it a secret list because we don't actually have their name and email, right? As compared to your email list. But Facebook does have that data. So you're able to retarget these people. So all the people that have visited your website, so that's why I call it a secret list, because these individuals will get those retargeting ads. Even though you don't know their name, you don't know their email, there's still people that you can market to very specifically from what the action they've taken on your website. So that's kind of how I refer to that.
Okay, got that. That makes more sense now.
Mhm.
All right, what's your third top tip or strategy for Startup Nation?
Yeah, my third tip is to test. So a lot of times people think they might throw an ad up and they're like, Facebook ads don't work. This sucks. It's waste of my money, this kind of thing. But the truth is advertising does take testing. So don't give up, right? Just because you have one ad and it flops, that is totally normal. We do thousands of ads, and I will tell you, very rarely do we hit it out of the park first ad in the for campaign. So we're constantly testing. You need to test your copy, the words above your ad, the creative, the image or your video, the actual hook. So what is it? What's the action you want people to take, and why? Why does this matter to them? You need to test these different things out till you get one that really hits it out of the park. So yeah, definitely that's important to not give up because you throw up one ad and it doesn't bring you millions of dollars. Yeah, test, and you'll find the ads that work.
Thank you for sharing that. Like, that's so valuable. And I know I've done Facebook ads myself, and I have made some of your top three mistakes. Run us through your top three mistakes that entrepreneurs make with Facebook and Instagram ads. You alluded to one or two there, but give us the three, would you?
Yeah, for sure. So one is in business, we always learn, or you've probably all been told a lot about how you should have one avatar. Well, in advertising, we say this a little bit different. We want to test usually about three different avatars, three different personas for our ads, because there might be slight differences in how you're targeting and how people might react. So for example, if your business, your coaching business is for mom business owners, right? Well, there's actually different personas within that. So, how old are their kids? Are their kids homeschooling? Do their kids go to school? Are they married? Are they single moms? So there's these different things within that we want to test, because sometimes what we think will be the winning targeting that people are going to just go crazy over, it might be a little different than you actually thought. And that's what's beautiful about Facebook ads, is we use data to tell us all that, right? So I mean, we're getting clear data on the click-through rates, the how many people are actually going to the landing page, all that, how many people are adding to cart, all that kind of stuff, to let us know which persona really works the best. So that's my first thing that I think the first mistake. The second mistake I would say are that people don't play around enough with the creative. They either make it all look super over professional or or too casual. And the thing is we kind of need both of them. So sometimes, you just walking down the street with your cell phone, shooting a video, that hits it out of the park. Super casual, doesn't look like an ad, looks like something could just be in your feed. Maybe it's a picture with you and your kids that doesn't really have to do exactly with what the ad was about. Sometimes those do amazing, and you would never think that. Or sometimes, a highly produced video does amazing. The thing is, you need to switch it up and you need to test all of them. Again, when I go back to the testing, I mean, that's so many entrepreneurs, when they're starting out with their ads, they don't do the testing. They're not playing around with it enough. They're not refreshing their creative, the actual images or the videos enough. And so their ads, even if their ads are successful, they stall. So they're not going to continue to get the same success. And then the third mistake I would have to say is that a lot of times entrepreneurs they want to make decisions based on emotions when it comes to their ads. So they'll have an ad up and they've spent, a couple $100, haven't gotten results yet, or the desired result. And so they want to kill the ad. But you have to look at the data. So maybe, let's say this is a $400 program that you're selling and you spent 200. Well, probably haven't spent enough yet, one. And then also look, like, where is the hole in this funnel? Like, if what's the click-through rate? Are people stopping and engaging in the ad? Then it's probably not the ad. It's probably your landing page, your sales page. So being able to look at the data to make this informed decisions instead of making decisions based on emotions when it comes to your advertising, because then you're going to be able to see where the hole is in your funnel, and you can adjust that, right, based on data instead of based on emotions. So those are the three mistakes.
Thank you for that, Jackie. So, Startup Nation, some of what Jackie is speaking right now may sound really difficult, very data focused, and maybe you're not wired that way. Maybe that really scares you. That feels heavy. That feels overwhelming to you. That's okay. There's people like Jackie in the world that you can sub that work out to, you can outsource to, right? You can't go it alone. Don't do the lone wolf approach to entrepreneurship. Trust me, it is very lonely when you get to the top. I've been there, and it's not a place you want to go. So make sure you're inviting people who have different strengths than you and hire this out. Now, Jackie, what I really like about your story, and Startup Nation doesn't know this yet, is that and we were speaking offline before we got into the show, is even though you have this advertising agency and you're helping all your clients achieve success through ads, you're also decided to start another company and do it again yourself. And you have an online store with physical products and drop shipping model you're using, and you're knocking it out of the park with this using your own ads approach. Tell us really quickly how you got that company up and running, how long it's been running, what revenue you just hit.
Yeah, so we launched, it's called the CEO store, and it's a online store for women entrepreneurs. And we launched it in on Black Friday. So Black Friday weekend. So that was just a couple months ago, so not very long ago. We So what we did was we hit lead generation hard right off the bat. So meaning that we were growing our email list. So what we came up with was actually a download that's how to it's about creating a 7-figure course, online course. And so we used all our knowledge of helping other entrepreneurs, have 7-figure courses and beyond through our ad agency. We use that knowledge to create this planner. And so we ran ads for that. We were getting leads for 60 cents, which is insane in the B2B space. So we were getting leads super cheap. And then we were hitting email marketing really hard through those leads, and then also retargeting those leads and sending them back to our store. But we have crossed over 50K, and it's only been a couple months, and this is our side gig. So yeah, it's worked out beautifully. It honestly, to be completely transparent, I didn't even have the expectation for it to be as successful as it has been. But as we were talking earlier, we do have an advantage because we know advertising, and so we didn't have to go through kind of the growing pains of learning how to promote. But yeah, it's been wild. It's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun.
That's so cool. Thank you for sharing that story. I think that's inspiring to hear. You're not only teaching others, but you're actively out doing it yourself to stay very relevant with your client base. I think that's a wise thing to do. So Startup Nation, we've been speaking with Dr. Jackie Noelke. She runs gratefulads.com, and she dropped, and I hope you took notes, and I'm just going to recap it for you, just for you to fill in some of those notes that you missed, or replay the show, replay this episode. Anytime you miss something, go back, play it slowly, really get the concept so that you can apply it into your life, into your business. So Jackie's top 3 mistakes entrepreneurs make with Facebook and Instagram ads are these. Mistake number 1, they don't prove their offer first. Does this offer sell organically? If so, if it does, your offer now is a good offer for ads. So really test it organically. I remember I was at the coffee shop this morning, and I was testing a new pitch for one of my coaching products. And I tested it out on my target audience, a guy who I know there. He's right in the age group. He fits my criteria, et cetera. And I say, hey, what do you think about this? And he's like, it doesn't really land. And then I was like, how about this? And he goes, ooh, now I want to know more about that. That's a hook. And I was like, awesome, right? So I tested it organically before I'm going to put it up there publicly, right? So that's an example. And then mistake number 2, Dr. Jackie says, is entrepreneurs don't commit to testing, right? She mentioned that. She's pushing that hard. Successful ads are all about finding what works using data. Testing is critical, she says. So make sure you're testing. Again, if you don't enjoy the testing part of it, I know I don't. My hand goes up for that. Like, tap me out. I don't want to test things. Man, find someone like Jackie to really help you with that. And then mistake number 3, entrepreneurs aren't patient enough. It takes time for the algorithm to optimize ads. Too often people give up or change something before the magic happens. How regretful is that? What if you were like inches away? And
Exactly.
I look back, listen, Jackie, I'm telling you, I'm looking back on my own Facebook ads campaigns, and I'm like, I bet you I was inches away. I bet you. Maybe it was 2 feet. But man, I was impatient. I'm like, this crap doesn't work. I'm out.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, it didn't work. I wasn't the right guy to be running it. I didn't have the patience for it. I didn't have the expertise for it. And frankly, it was painful to me. That was an enjoyable process. So Startup Nation, I just wanted to get real about what's real there with you. What Jackie's teaching is very, very practical. It's very powerful. It can literally be the game changer for your business, but you don't have to learn it all. Now, maybe you're on the other side and you're sitting there and man, everything Jackie's saying, you're like, yeah, I'm tracking with this. I got it. I've been running my campaigns. I'm just not getting past that one thing. What's the thing? And then Jackie gave you that golden nugget that you're going to go and turn that one dial today in your business, and you're going to experience awesome, amazing results that you've been chasing. Dr. Jackie, we're going to head and into my favorite part of the show. Welcome to the hustle round. We're going to ask you 10 quick fire questions. You'll have about 3 seconds to answer each. Don't overthink it. It's just for fun. Are you ready?
I am so ready. Let's do it.
All right. And also, Startup Nation, I want to just acknowledge we've had some delays here in our video chat. So there's some parts of our interview that can be a little broken up because there was a delay with the Wi-Fi where Jackie's recording from. So, hey, be patient with us. Not every show is going to be, audio perfection. Okay. Just deal with it. Really get the nuggets, get the quality here. Jackie, what's your favorite thing about being an entrepreneur, being out on your own, third business?
Challenges. I am not one that likes things to be boring. So every day I face some sort of challenge, I would say. And so I actually like that. I like being kept on my toes for sure.
That's cool. I think I'm the opposite. I like to put processes and systems in place so that I never have to experience challenges again. All right. What is your least favorite thing about being an entrepreneur?
Oh, I would say difficult conversations with partners and employees.
Mm. Can I ask you a real question?
Mm-hmm.
If it was up to you, would you rather business be just about processes and systems, but not people? Like if you didn't have to deal with the people part of it?
That's a really great question. No, as far as I'm a people person. So I like the people aspect, especially developing relationships with clients, things like that. As long as it's all groovy, you know what I mean? But when it becomes difficult, when there's tension, I'll admit I don't like that part. So if I could avoid all that, I totally would, but I know that's part of business and I can't. So I have to do it.
I'm with you. I don't like the conflict, the conflict part. What are you most afraid of?
Failure.
Okay. Got it.
Definitely.
Is
Yeah.
that also your fuel, your fire that keeps you going?
Yes, absolutely. I don't know if you are aware of the Enneagram at all, but I'm an Enneagram 3. So success is of utmost importance to me. And that doesn't, for me, it's not necessarily financial because I mean, I live in the mountains, I live in a beautiful place. Like my wealth is all around me, right? But it's being able to hit goals that I have. It's being able to share about those successes. That's what drives me. So yeah, failure is definitely a fear of mine, but I
Yeah.
feel the fear and do it anyways, for sure.
Is there a goal out there that you've been chasing for a while now and it just seems elusive? You just can't get it yet?
That is a really good question. I really want to hit 5 million a year. And not there yet. So yeah, I mean, that's my big goal right now. So yeah, and it does seem like I've been chasing it for about 2 years.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm still in hustle mode, still trying to get there for sure.
Yeah, I got that. Listen, to hit 8 figures, 9 figure businesses, I mean, typically it takes minimum 3 to 5 years, minimum. And that's if you're in the 1% club, right? And you actually achieve it. So
Mhm.
you're doing just fine, girl. You're doing just fine. What did you spend way too much time doing this past year?
Oh, that is a great question too. All these are great questions. Um,
I kind of run a top 100 podcast, so I better have
yeah.
great questions, right?
Right. I would say not having systems in place. And so doing busy work. So we do have, when I say we don't have systems, we obviously have some systems in place and processes and SOPs and all of that. But there's also ways, sometimes we don't go by them when we should. And we, instead of looking at all our project management tool, we are doing our own kind of squirrel brain activities, which was kind of very unfocused, where you're just kind of doing whatever. I definitely say that's something that I struggle with, is not always being as productive and making the best use of my time.
Got it. Thank you. And let's just segue in that struggle. We're all struggling with something in our personal lives. If you're willing to share, what are you currently struggling with right now?
Yeah, for me, because I'm so into my work, it's taking care of my body, my health, exercising, these kind of things I put on the back burner. And to be fully transparent, I've been saying this for 2 years, that this is going to be the year that I stop putting all that on the back burner. And it's still not happening, to be honest. So that is something I definitely need to make a priority. I turned 40 this year and I know I need to start making my health a priority. Um, but I haven't really gotten there yet. So full transparency.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I know a lot of hands just went up in my audience, like, me too. Darn New Year's resolutions. What secret fear do you have about people? What secret fear do you have about people?
My secret fear is that I, it's that I will disappoint them.
Mm.
So if they feel that, my biggest fear is that with people is that I'm afraid I'm going to disappoint them. I really still am I want people to succeed really bad, obviously. And I want them to feel like what I do empowers them to succeed. So I get very fearful that they are disappointed by my work in any way, that kind of thing. Cause I really aim to please.
Yeah, I get that. So what I'm hearing you say is you're a people pleaser, and when you don't please people, that really hits you. Like you can take that personally. Is that accurate?
Yeah, and it's definitely something I'm working on because I know
Okay, good.
it can be toxic to be a people pleaser in business for sure. So that is something I'm actively working on, and I have gotten a lot better about it, but it is again, work in progress.
Got it. What do you wish you had learned sooner in business?
Yeah, so this kind of piggybacks on the people pleasing, but I would say we kind of hit on it earlier, but to really work on the fear of judgment. So right now, I am still heavily concerned about my clients, how they look at me for sure. But in the beginning, I was worried about everyone, like, Joe from high school, like whoever, you know what I mean, what they might think of my business. Now I don't care about any of that anymore, which is awesome. But it took work. I had to really let that go. So yeah, I wish I learned sooner how to let go of that fear of judgment for people who aren't even your ideal client. So it doesn't make any sense to have these people dictating what you do in your business. But I did that for, learning to let that go.
Okay, got it. All right, Jackie, what's a new question, a new habit that you want to form, you want to create in your life?
Definitely exercising more, and cutting out gluten.
Okay, got it. And that was my next question. What's a bad habit you want to break? Bad habit is gluten. Let's get it. Let's get it. Pick 3 words to describe who you are now.
Confident, motivated, and grateful.
I like it. Pick 3 words to describe who you were your first year in business.
Terrified, unorganized, but hopeful.
Terrified, unorganized, but hopeful. Sounds like a good name for a podcast, doesn't it? So many people can relate to that. And last question, Jackie, if you could come back to life after you died, look your family, your friends in the eye, and give them only one piece of advice, what would you say to them?
I would say to find time in your day, every single day, to have a gratitude practice. What I do is I pick a number every single day. When I see that number, I go into a little gratitude prayer, and it's
So BC Startup Nation, Zoom froze that up a little. What Jackie just said, I'll complete that there. Is that she picks a number every single day, just a random number. And every time she sees that number, she immediately goes into gratitude, which has been very transformative for her life. Is that correct, Jackie?
Yes. And I apologize for the bad internet, everyone. So sorry for that.
No worries. This thing's outside of our control. We just need to surrender, right? That's what we're all doing here. And any final wisdom? What's the one thing you want my listener to know about making their first $100,000 this year?
Yeah. Don't wait to take action. Start showing up big, sharing your message, and don't wait. Whatever that is that you are putting on the back burner that's going to move your business forward, go for it.
All right. You heard it from Dr. Jackie Noelke. Dr. Jackie, where can Startup Nation get in touch with you? What do you got for them?
Yeah, you can always go to on all social, Dr. Jackie Noelke, and hit me up if you have any questions about anxiety, anything like that. I'm happy to support you. If you're interested in ads, go to gratefullads.com, and then you can always shop at the SheEO store as well. So lots of different ways.
So that is SheEOstore.com. Okay. And we'll put those links in the show
Yes.
notes there. Dr. Jackie, thank you for being on your first 100K. I wish you God's love, peace, and joy in your life. Have a blessed day. Startup Nation, you cannot show up authentically in your business without building faith in your business. If you want to have that conversation on the faith side of things, go check out my other podcast called Broken Catholic. On that show, I interview all different guests about why the world isn't working right now. Plus, I tackle unspeakable topics that you may secretly struggle with, but won't admit. We got to get your faith right to get your business right. Go to brokencatholic.com. I'm Joseph Warren, and you were made for greatness. So stop being a wuss and start being a winner. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you right back here next week.